Types of grafts. The one that I do is whip and tongue. Here, you pass that around, and then you pull it apart.
Someone did.
Yeah. This will just show you here. Here you go. But you can pull it apart and put it back together. That's a whip and tongue.
All right, I'm going to do a graft on this tree right here. I pointed out to you all that it's a root sucker. It looks like we managed to keep it alive. The tree got knocked back really, really bad on the last frost. We had a heavy freeze last week of April, very beginning of May, and a lot of trees took a lot of hit. Those of you that are pawpaw growers in this area, you probably know that. This one here is just a little bit too big. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and graft this tree right where it's at. I figured I might as well go ahead and graft it. And I guess we'll use this. All the tools I have in here have been sterilized. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the graft that Mark did. And the only reason why I'm coming up here is because I need something a little bit smaller. When you're looking at your scion wood, down at the bottom, it's bigger, then it starts getting smaller and smaller. And I'm trying to size up as close as I can. And I'm looking at it. Now that piece right there, I'm going to stick right back into this bag. I pulled this piece out here because I wanted to show you something. You see the little round nose right there? Whenever you graft and you see this, you'll see this on a lot of scion. And that'll end up being like, well, that's a flower bud. And that's exactly what it is, the flower set. What'll happen is whenever I graft something like that, I'll just knock it off. Because where I just knocked that off, that'll cause forced vegetative growth. And I'm going to stick this in here back into the bag. I just did that just to demonstrate that little flower bud, what goes on, so you don't get confused with that. And, well, it went down just a little bit too far. And I'm going to take this one off. Yeah, if anybody uses it. Scion wood looks good. You want it to be nice and green like it is. And I'm going to come up here. I want 2 buds is all I want. And you notice I keep throwing it back into the bag so it don't get mixed up with the other scion wood. Now I'm going to take a look at the tree, and something I'm seeing here is I got a split here, and I want to get rid of one. All right, I don't want both sides. Sometimes when they're up here and they're really big, and I got 2 of them, I'll graft into both of them. But this one right here, in my opinion, no, it's not going to work for me. So this one down here, come down as close as I can, because that little fine point, I can get up against it, and I'm just going to chop it off. I'm going to put a piece of parafilm on there to keep that dry, or keep it from drying out rather, I'm sorry. And I'm just going to do the cleft, like Mark did. I'll pull it towards me. And he's right about one thing. If you're a beginner grafting, this is the best one. It is very simple. It don't get no simpler than this. I'm going to try and get that down as close as I can. I want it thin. And then I'm going to come over here, I'm going to take a look. And I'm going to size off what I want. Turn the blade around because I want the cutting edge on here. me, myself, what I like to do, which everybody does things a little bit differently, where I made that cut, what's happening is it's going to mash. It's going to mash onto that root stock. And I always take a razor blade and I just clean it up. Take it down past that. And it did pretty good. Now, I'm just going to take the razor blade and I'm going to come right down the middle. Oh, got a little piece of green, knock it off. Come right down the middle. Take a look at it. And my finger is on top of the razor blade. That way if I slip, that finger should help stop it. Or give me an opportunity to get that other one out of the way. And I don't force down, I just rock it back and forth. And I want to take it all the way down. Now, I took it past what I would call the collar of the blade. That helps open up that scion for me when I back that out of there. So I'm just going to take it out. And then I'm going to make these two a little bit of a hump right there. Normally I'll cut the end off to get rid of jaggedness, but I really don't have any jaggedness to worry about. It's still pretty straight. And then I'm going to try to insert. And every once in a while, I've got to give it a little bit of an opening. I'll put the knife in there and I'll just barely open it just to get the scion in place where I want it. Pull the knife out of the way, shove it down in there, and I want to make sure I've got at least one side touching. It's just a hair bit too small. And rubber band. Now, to tell you, I graft an awful lot of root suckers at my place. My fruit garden that I have, I planted in 2019. About 60 to 70% of them were root suckers that I harvested off the trees I have along my driveway. And in 2020, and I also planted seedlings out there. And in 2020, I had grafted all of them. And the one thing I come to find, I got probably twice the growth out of the root suckers than I did the seedlings that I planted out there. And so I mean I'm really big on my property of planting root suckers and grafting because I love the way they grow. I'm stuck on them, okay? And when I first got into pawpaws, I've been raising trees for about 15 years. I've only been dealing with pawpaws for probably steady here, probably about 4 years. And the one thing I found about the pawpaw that I really do like is the willingness that it has to do what it is you want it to do whenever you take your time with it. And I've got some tape here. I'm going to use the same kind of stuff that Mr. England here had showed you that he uses. And I'm just going to give it a cover up. I chose this piece of scion because the bud is so big. That's a good looking bud. I really like seeing bud that look at that big. And I'm just going to stretch her out.
What was the name of that product again that you're using now?
Paraffin,
It's a laboratory type parafilm. And you can buy that on Amazon.
absolutely.
Matter of fact, I bought some on Amazon, it's been about 2 weeks ago. And they had, I bought a roll of it, 250-foot roll.
When I started buying that, James, it was $22 a roll.
And I paid 50 for it.
Right.
And I tell you what, Will you stop and think? Let me show you just real quick, paper. That's a 2 by 2 inch square, all right? And when you're looking at 250 foot, think about how much you're getting out of that. Now, the one thing I've learned, which I try to pay attention to what people say, what people do, how people graft. I learned a lot. The rubber band tie-off I just did, I learned by watching Mr. England, and with the parafilm I learned off of Mr. England. Beforehand, I did things a little bit differently, and I kind of liked his style. And that's the reason why I went to this route. Anyways, like I said, I try to pay attention to what people say. I listen, and I try to learn. I've learned from Dan. I've learned from Cliff. I've learned from Ron Powell. I watch what they're saying. I listen closely to what they're saying because they've been at this game a lot longer than I have. And because of that, it's given me the ability to progress much, much more than what I would have without them in the picture. And I almost forgot. Just going to get a regular buddy tape. This here is regular buddy tape. It's thinner than this. This right here is parafilm. This right here is just buddy tape. And I'm just going to pull a piece off of it. It's perforated. And I'm going to come down here to where I made that cut off that one little limb. And I'm just going to wrap it around there. And the thing about it is, I found with the buddy tape, it works best if you stretch it as you wrap it. If I stretch it first, I have to struggle with it because it's so flimsy to work with once it's been stretched. But I'm stretching it as I wrap it. And let me mark it real quick. Now, this scenario right here, this right here was dug up last year. It'll stay in this bag. It wintered in this bag over the winter inside my nursery. It's cinder block nursery, exposed to the outside elements, and it lived. And that right there would remain in the bag this year. What I would end up doing with this, I'm going to plant the bag down into the ground. I'm going to leave the bag right where it's at. And that bag is designed to contain that root. And that's for this winter. The next winter, I'll reach down, pull it up, undo the bag, and plant it right where it was. And I did that this year with one, and I tell you, you would not believe the amount of root structure I had in that. I posted the video of it on YouTube. And I mean, I was flabbergasted, I was excited, but it was a combination of this bag and a root maker pot.
What was your last name? I think I watched Dingus.
Yeah, Jim Dingus.
Okay, I'll watch you.
Yeah, it's Pawpaw Chronicles with Jim.
Yeah.
Do you like to go through?
Chris?
As far as top work.